One. We're back with episode 65, and everybody's in the house.
Boom.
We got everybody. Finally found a time to record. No audibles, just straight here, straight into Operation Dad.
Straight from work.
Straight from work, straight from the office, straight from the doctor.
Straight from
Everybody's
the
here. Dr. Feelgood over there, Dr. Love, Dr. Pepper. We can just come up with all the doctors. Dr. Oz, Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil.
Yeah, it's good. So, yeah, we'll have to talk. But we're really here today to dive into Vince's story. So, we talked about this. Gosh, it would have been a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
That we went over everybody's stories. Adam's story, great 2 weeks ago. And so now we dive into Vince's story. So I'll let him share a little bit about his background. And then I'm sure Adam and I will have some questions for him.
Oh, yeah.
Where do you want me to start? I mean,
Your transition. I'm just kidding.
Wow. It's just amazing the speed that just whoom, comes right out of his mouth. Like that's just
man.
it's
I'm offended.
well,
Dang.
I meant from like childhood to middle school. I don't know what you guys thought I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Dang.
All right. Anyway, just your childhood.
Born in Terre Haute. Lived there till I want to say like second grade.
So you're originally a Hoosier.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sick.
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty cool.
It was a nice town. I mean,
Yeah.
from what I remember,
So how old? When did you leave there?
like second grade.
Okay.
I want to say it was like second grade, and mom and dad were always in. Mom and bio dad were always in the restaurants. I remember. So all the old McDonald's Happy Meal toys.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday morning, mom would go into work early and get off, and she'd always bring home lunch. And it used to be like there was a toy per week, not
Yeah,
like it is
yeah,
now. Like
Right.
you knew
Yeah, you
each
knew what you're
week was a
getting.
new
Yep.
toy. She'd bring them all home.
Sick.
She'd bring one home. So we had all the old. You remember the Batman mugs? We had,
Yes.
but we had
Mhm.
those. We had.
Heck yeah.
We used to have all. I know it wasn't McDonald's, but we used to have all the little California raisins.
Yes.
Oh, I had those.
We
Those.
had
those,
those. We had
Yes.
all the Garfield mugs. We
That's
had all
cool.
those. We had. I mean, that was.
Dang, your
But that was
childhood
Sunday morning.
awesome.
Sunday morning was.
Dude,
We woke up. We were playing whatever.
talking about nostalgia.
Mom would come home and with McDonald's for all of us, which was really cool.
That is cool.
So again, too young to know exactly. I'm sure they had decided they were in. Mom was at McDonald's. She got tired of it.
Mhm.
We moved to Crawfordsville,
Hmm.
Indiana. That's when they had switched from McDonald's to KFC. Worked there. They were there for a while. I want to say 5th grade. We moved out of there. Moved to Danville. Was in Danville. No, maybe I wasn't even. Because I started here in 7th grade, so it may have been 5th and 6th grade in Danville.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I didn't start junior high in Danville. I started junior high
Mhm.
here
Okay.
in 7th grade.
So how was all the moving through middle school? Like that's a pretty like trying to figure yourself out time before high school. So you just
I am very. It drives my wife crazy. I'll meet friends wherever.
so even from a young age it wasn't a big deal.
No,
Okay.
Yeah. So no matter
That's
where we
cool.
went,
Yeah.
I remember. Was it Dan? It was either I think it was the move from Crawfordsville to Danville. The class that I left, because I don't think we made it through the whole year
Mm-hmm.
because we did like a pen pal thing.
Yeah.
So I remember
Yeah.
writing letters back to the
Oh.
kids in
Yeah.
Crawfordsville
That's neat.
and stuff like that.
Gosh.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the schools were all good. Everything was fun. I mean,
So where's Dad and all?
So this is still Biodad, right?
Yeah, this is still bio dad.
Okay.
He was still here until we moved here.
Okay.
So when you moved to Mattoon in 7th grade, is that when they got divorced?
It was somewhere after that because we lived over on DeWitt, and that's when I was 12, 13 years old, a lot more aware of issues that were going on.
Yeah.
Dad had gotten out of the restaurants. He was working at Donnelly's
Mhm.
third shift, I believe.
Hmm.
And so and on his days off, if mom was working during the summer, hey, the kids want food. He's sitting on the couch in his recliner,
Doing what?
just flipping through, watching TV.
Channel
That's
surfing.
all he did. All he did.
Really?
If he was awake, he was in that recliner, clicking away. Nobody else could touch the remote. It was just his. Got to the point where, like, if we wanted McDonald's, or if he wanted McDonald's to take us, we had to buy our own. He wouldn't buy it for us.
Hmm.
So
So
this is
it's
when you're how old?
13, 12, 13.
Wow.
So my
Wow.
my middle sister, it would have been 10, 11, and the youngest would have been 6 or 7. So we had to, like, try to
Scrape,
get
find
money,
money,
for
yeah.
her because
Yeah.
she's not going to have money.
Yeah.
Luckily, I mean, we got an allowance and stuff like that. So, like, that's basically kind of like what
Wow.
we would use. Yeah, it was really crappy. That, you know, as a
So
dad.
how did you feel in that moment? Like, if you can think back to you at 13,
Oh, it's horrible.
like what was your thought at 13? Like, did you think that was a normal thing to
No.
be doing?
No,
You knew
I was-
it was wrong.
I was pissed. Like,
Yeah.
you're supposed to be buying me McDonald's.
Yeah.
Man. If I want a quarter pounder, like, you're supposed to buy it for me.
Yeah.
Like,
hey, Dad, are you still claiming me as a dependent?
yeah.
Yeah,
Help me
it's
out
like,
here.
like he's checked out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was out, gone.
And how many brothers and sisters at
Hey,
that time? Like
2
bio?
sisters.
Okay.
That's all we. Yeah.
Older,
Just-
younger?
Both of them are younger.
Okay.
One's 2 years and one's
So does Mom know about all this?
6 years. I think so. I'm pretty sure we had told her.
We'll say, was it a different mentality? Like once she came home, would he change, or
No.
was it just
No, he still
okay.
sat there and expected her or us
You,
to
yeah.
make dinner or whatever. Like,
So he felt his role was just I provide.
Yeah.
And then that's all I'm here for.
yeah, basically. Again,
Okay.
he always talked about how great. And I remember going and watching him play softball when I was little. Oh, that was awesome. But when it came for me to do those sports,
Right.
hey, come coach. Hey,
Okay.
nope,
Nothing.
nope.
Mm.
So, yeah.
So that's like 13. So you're in Mattoon.
yeah,
And that's when they get divorced.
yeah. And that's when my attitude went
Hmm.
just
Why?
angry.
Man.
Angry, but so we're gonna
Puberty.
dive into this.
That's a-
It's
So you knew that
That's
he was
probably
not
the wrong time.
He probably wasn't the dad you wanted,
No.
even when he was in the house.
Mhm.
But the fact that they got divorced and now you were a divorced kid
Yeah.
made you more angry because at least you had a dad.
Yeah.
And that was the
Well, just
disconnect.
the way it all went. Like, again, don't say you're this and then not show up and then just again expect everybody to wait on you hand and foot. Like,
So who were you mad at the most at that time?
I
Just the world.
just yeah.
Yeah.
Again, with puberty and that going on, it was just like, so your hormones are already
Yeah.
Yeah.
out of whack, and then you throw this on top of it,
Right.
and then again you've got high or junior high, high school, like just
Getting ready to go into freshman year.
friends
Yeah.
that are it was a mess. Luckily, I did have friends that I could really didn't go to them about any of this, but just I had friends. You know, I still have my best friend from 7th grade. He and I are still best friends to this day. Like, we go play basketball. And
Yeah.
like that was just all right, cool. Like, I remember having the basketball hoop in the backyard, trying to get him to come out. I'd just be out there just shooting baskets
So
and
once the divorce happened, like, did your dad get weekends with you? Did he care to have you?
nope.
So it was just you and mom and your sisters.
I made an effort to go a couple times. At one point, he ended up moving back to Danville. Mom had to go somewhere. The girls went to grandma's. I wanted to go
Yeah.
to dad's. So it was like a whole week for something.
How old are you?
14,
Okay.
probably.
Yeah.
So I went spend a week with him. Again, didn't do anything because he worked. So luckily he lived like down the road from the mall in Danville in an apartment. The apartment complex had a pool, so I'd get up, I'd go swim, I'd do that. Like I said, the mall was across down the road a little bit. Had movie theaters, so I'd go watch a movie. And then we'd just hang out and we'd eat dinner and just fast food, pizza, whatever. Like, it was just a guy's thing. But after that, it was like, I'm done.
So how did you as you went through high school and college, looking back, prior to, you know, the one that you refer to as dad, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How did you feel like about your dad, or what was your thoughts on all of that? Like, how did
you know? Like, whenever you decided you wanted to take that Reed name, like,
So
what led you to like make that like? That's a hard decision.
I will never forget the day. We were down in Florida at Nationals for drill team.
Yeah.
Zach Rick was there
Mhm.
and asked my mom something.
and how old are you at this time?
I was
National?
a freshman.
In high school?
Yes.
Okay.
He made a comment about my name being different than hers.
Mm.
And I just asked her, why can't my name be the same? And then she kind of thought about it, and we kind of
Talk it over.
I don't even think really, like, we did later. If I remember, like, there was like a small, like, is this something you would want? Yeah, like, Stan had been around. They got married in '96, Pearl
Okay.
Harbor Day. Can't forget
Nice.
it. So,
Nice.
in our living room, the pastor was old and deaf and called my dad by the name Jack for whatever reason.
Sick.
Here comes Santa Claus playing in the background, like,
Dementia.
but like, just be like, I was the best. I was in the wedding.
Mhm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
I had known Stan for very long. I had thought my mom and him were dating, like, which was funny because they hated each other at first because they worked.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She was his boss for a while, and they did not get along when they first got. And then
Oh,
I think it finally.
Kim, I
kinda-
see
Kim.
you. Little power play there. I know you're listening to the podcast. Statute of limitations is up, but you did abuse your power picking on your employees.
So I think it finally faded,
Yeah,
and she worked a lot, like
Mhm.
traveling, like we all did eventually. So she was in Decatur where he was living,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's kind of when it
Yeah.
started to
Mhm.
blossom. And then I don't even remember how it all came about that he was moving in and all of this,
Mhm.
and it was just all of a sudden, like, he's here. It's like, okay,
Oh.
cool. Like, I got along with him the few, like, what I remember of meeting him, and I was like, all right, that's awesome. And then I do remember the day she told me that he had asked her to marry her, and I do remember giving her, like, a big hug, like,
Mm.
good, like, finally we're like a family again, like,
Yeah.
it's whole.
Yeah.
But back to that, like I said, I had asked, and then she pretty much called Jim and put it out to him, and I don't think there was much of a fight. He just kind of, because, you know, then
Wow.
he doesn't
Yeah.
pay child support.
Yeah.
He can just wipe his hands clean
Okay,
of
Okay,
it.
so Jim was your bio
Yeah.
dad. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then, let's jump to like some meat here. So now you're in high school. Stan's married to your mom. You've changed your name. Like, so now, in retrospect, you'd be like, now you've got it. You've got the mom, the dad.
Mm-hmm.
You're no longer. You're still a child of divorce, but like you got a family atmosphere at home. What was your high school career like with that?
So going from junior high attitude, all of that. Once I got into ROTC at the high school, I met Sergeant Flores,
Yeah.
and for all his sins and bad
Mhm.
things that he did during high school, he helped mold more kids than anybody, and he was that coach
Mm-hmm.
that just
Yeah.
like he saw something. I remember sitting there one day, you know, the old, like I posted the other day in the group about trying is a half-hearted attempt.
Mhm.
Effort without the intention cannot succeed. Because he told me, he was like, I don't know, we were sitting there doing something. I don't remember what it was. I want to say it was like in a cafeteria or something. And he came up to me and he's like, so if I throw this pencil on the ground and I say I'm going to try to pick it up, but it just sits there. If I say I'm going to pick it up, then I'm going to do it. And I was like, okay. Invited me to drill team practice, and I picked it up. I mean, like that.
Mhm.
Just, you know, you're spinning a 9-pound rifle and like the first day, and I'm like, oh, well, how you do this? And
They were good, by the way.
David
They were really
Landris,
good.
David Landris and Samantha Landris. I had worked with I had known them through
Oh, yeah.
mom working at KFC. So they were there. David already retired, graduated, but he was just back kind of helping out.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, like, he's like, here, try this. And I was like, boom. Okay, now do this. Boom. And then, I mean, it for some reason, it's one of those skills that just came naturally to
Right.
me. So being an ROTC was the catalyst that changed me from being a turd to not. Now I still had my attitude,
Yeah.
but I definitely there was definitely a difference in everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he says we were good,
They were good.
Yeah.
nationally ranked.
Nice.
They were no. I mean, you guys went to DC. Did you guys go to DC? I think you went to nationals down in Florida,
I
right?
went to Florida every year, and that's where I got third in the
You guys
nation.
got yeah. you
I
guys-
got third in the nation individually.
Third in the nation.
Yeah, and
That's awesome.
Yeah, so and then like we always finished top 10 in the nation.
they were- yeah, they
That's
were
cool.
So
I like it. So now you get through high school. Now it's time to graduate, and you've been influenced by. You've seen your bio dad, and you've seen your mom. What do you think kept you from going and being, or maybe you did for a while? I don't know. The life of work, come home, sit on the couch,
um,
or did you do that at time?
not until I was living on my own. Now I did so pretty good through high school, and then we talked about your first time getting caught. Mine was my senior year. Like I was really good.
Yeah,
In the
okay.
senior year, I started to like
started late.
teeter off, and again, I can go right to the house where it was, where the party was, and drinking 40s. Just
Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh,
Drinking 40s
it
and
was-
smoking Newports.
it was so bad. And I remember getting home, and it was like, I don't remember how I got home. This isn't good. But moved out shortly after graduation to a. It was like, the house now is just utter trash. But we had, at any given point, there was 8 people living in this house. I mean, the girls lived downstairs in the bigger area, and then me and 2 other buddies lived upstairs. But it was a
It was a frat house.
yeah,
It was an-
but
yeah.
partying every night.
Animal
Like,
house.
hey, what are we gonna party for tonight? Let's just because.
Yep.
Like there's
Yeah.
music going all
It's
the
a
time.
day that ends in Y.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I mean, how I would get up and go to work at 8:00 some mornings, it beats me.
Being 22, being 21.
Well,
Yeah.
or being
but it's also
19.
part of the work ethic that was built into me from
Yeah.
day one, getting up when I was 14, 15 years old on a Saturday to go cook chicken and make $50
Yeah.
bucks.
Right.
So
Right.
it was just like you were expected to be at work. And so
So
there
that
was
was
a lot of days where it was like,
right because that was instilled in you.
yeah,
So then you're doing that, but you still got the thing instilled in you to go out and have the work ethic. And
Yeah.
you talk about that in the book. But so now that's kind of like your life. So what is, you're out of high school, you're working, you've got this great work ethic that you talk about comes from your mom and witnessing her.
Mhm.
But there's still a level of you witnessed just laziness.
So yeah, when's the responsibility and accountability kind of start slowly veering into the taking the
Or the
work and now
lack of,
applying?
yeah.
So the work ethic never, I mean, it's still, I mean, I would still get up every day, no matter. Even the days where I was working at Coke and had to be there at 4:00 in the morning, and softball's on Sunday, and hey, let's go have a few after the game. Well, still gotta be at work at 4 a.m. Just so the discipline, like I said, once I moved out, met my ex-wife, we got married, got divorced, moved back in with mom and dad because she's like, oh, I'm gonna leave you the house, I'm gonna leave you the car, I'm doing you a big favor. Cool, you also left me with all of the bills.
Yeah.
Pause. You being a child of divorce, and then getting married and having a divorce, how did that like mentally like what was that like for you?
So I was blindsided by it.
Mm.
I came home one day and the house was empty.
Mm-hmm.
I was very, very angry
Mm-hmm.
because I came home again. I provided and did this, and still did my share of the workload in the house, and I don't know. Again, but she had also seen me come home, stumble through the door,
Right.
and I don't know her exact reason, but I would guess part of that was that. I don't know. It was just.
And so
There's
kids involved at this point.
No.
Not yet.
No.
Okay.
Well, yes, not Colt. Austin was 1 when we got divorced.
Okay. So,
So-
you got your dad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what was fatherhood like for Austin's first year of life for you?
His first year was good. Like I said, we were but
But
I
you as
thought-
an individual.
I was still out working. I remember trying because we had a huge fight when she got pregnant because of where she was working, and she knew she was going to have to take time off, and so money became an issue.
Right.
And I was just like, you've got it. I get it. Like, you're gonna take maternity leave, but trying to get her to go back to work, for some reason, there was some fight about her going to work at some point. I don't remember when, and that may have been part of it. I don't know. I don't remember exactly. I mean, I made sure I took care of him. I was there. I mean, I think I was working at Pepsi at the time, and I was getting up early.
Mm-hmm.
So she was getting up at night to take care of him. Since I had to get up early and
Right.
go to work, but I mean, I felt like I was doing a good job for him. Now,
Right.
That's
To be seen.
yeah.
Her.
That's her story.
Right.
I don't know, but
And then when the divorce happens, now you went through divorce. Now you've got a kid that's now parents are getting divorced. How did you work? Like, what was your mindset around that?
I was focused on him.
Okay.
The time that I had when I was with him, I was with him.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing else. There's still funny stories because at this time, I couldn't live by myself in that house and support.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Pay all the bills and all the stuff.
Chuck moved in. So Chuck and I were roommates, and there was, I don't remember. I had somewhere to go. Maybe I had to work on a Saturday or something. But Chuck was there, and I trust Chuck with to watch him for it. Not even that long, and I remember they were watching Daniel Tiger when I got back, and at that point, Colt was just starting to.
Austin.
Awesome.
Austin, dang it. Austin was starting to talk, and we could ask him, what do tigers do? Roar. And so Chuck says, to this day, my little homie,
Yeah.
Austin,
Yeah.
ask him what Daniel Tiger says.
That's
so,
awesome.
yeah, and I mean, now, when he wasn't there, it's a whole different story.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's that? So after the divorce, what year was the divorce? So Austin would have been.
Austin would have been 1,
So that would have been
17 years ago.
okay. So what's it look like from 17 years ago to like 2020? Like, what's your life like through that? Like Austin's childhood, switching mom and dad, you finding jobs, you trying to, because at this point you're not the Vince we know.
No,
Right.
no. Parent-wise, I am. Because
Right.
I still made sure that he had the best. We took trips to St. Louis to the Children's Museum, the City Museum.
Yeah.
We went to the circus for one of his birthdays. We did
I'm
we
gonna
did
argue that a
things.
little bit because parent-wise you were in the moment, but you weren't living the things you were trying to show him. You weren't modeling.
When I was with him, I
Right,
was,
but I'm
not
saying even
away
in your-
from it.
right?
No,
In your life,
No.
Whether what he saw, yes, but what you were truly like, anything real can't be threatened thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because that eventually shows
Caught up
up.
to me.
It
Yeah.
eventually caught up.
Yes.
So, what's life like that you're doing outside of that?
Yeah, that after the divorce would be when it really started to trend downwards. Because there had been a couple relationships between, and were decent, longer than probably what they should have been, just because I'm loyal. Like
Yeah.
no matter what,
Yeah.
I will fight till the end until you come say I
Yeah.
can't anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so went through a couple of those, and then I can tell you one was because of my drinking is why it ended.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so I was not living exactly like I should have been. But as I said, it started to go, as in by this time, where am I at after living wise? I think I'm in the house now.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say was it more of just because the social aspect of it, or was
Yeah.
your drinking more like, I mean, did you feel like that maybe the drinking was more than just drinking for the social?
No,
Because
because it never got to the point where I had to wake up and
Yeah.
start again.
But did you ever do it, but just by yourself after work?
Yeah, it was always, but it was like 2 or 3 with dinner, or just out mowing the yard. You know, the usual. The
Yeah, the
side-
societal
It's
norm.
stereotypical,
Yes.
had a rough day, I'm gonna have a couple beers.
Yeah.
I'm with yard, supposed to have a beer.
yeah, but when we went out,
It was game on.
it was game on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I went golfing,
Mm.
it was on. Sometimes, because I also am very competitive.
Was your game on?
No. That's it. That's what I was gonna say. Sometimes it would be depends on who I was playing with. If I was
Yeah.
playing with upper talent, then I'm like, I'm gonna go
you
easy
might-
because
yeah.
I want to try to stick with these guys.
Yeah.
If I'm with a certain group of buddies,
Yeah.
whatever, we're just out
That's about
hacking.
hole
and-
4, like, well,
yeah,
I'm done.
yeah. And it wasn't usually. It was never the beer that got me in trouble. It was always liquor.
Mm.
Well, you can say that, but they're all one and the same.
True, but
Like, I
acted
get what you're
wa-
saying.
I acted way different with liquor.
Right.
Mhm.
But the beer led to the liquor. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So that eventually, so you're kind of, you got different jobs, the work ethic's still there, but drinking definitely has been the cause of some issues, and maybe
Mhm.
like the ability to strive and want more. Like, because would you say that was a possible, like you were okay with just the life you were living? Cause it was,
Oh yeah.
but you weren't ever thinking about where can I go from here? What can I do
Yeah.
that's more?
100%. I know, especially of one relationship that I was in, that I should have ended it
Mm.
long before it did. But again, I'm just a loyalist, and I just stuck
Yeah.
with it. I was like, I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna make this better, and it never went anywhere. Nothing
Yeah.
was ever gonna happen, and it's just looking back, it's like, why? Why did I waste my time and effort with this when I could have been out? But I was comfortable.
Yeah.
Right. But
You know,
then,
and she was,
right.
hey, let's, when we went out, it was like, hey, let's go have some drinks, and like, okay,
It was easy.
cool.
It
It
was
was
just-
easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was comfort. There was nothing
Oh, yeah.
hard about
So
it.
now, outside of relationships, though, like drinking and the comfort, there was no. Do you think the drinking led to you not being like, what do I want to do? What things can I achieve? Like, was there just a level of like,
There was no drive. There was no
Yeah,
drive
okay,
to
that's
do
what I'm
anything
getting,
else.
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
like
Like, had you settled?
you were just in the,
Yeah.
you were, I'm going to do this for the next 50 years, and
Yeah.
this will, I'll retire and do this some more.
yeah.
And would you say you were happy at that time?
No, absolutely not. Like looking back, if I would have stayed in Florida, I would have been better off because I had cut back a ton on the drinking.
Mm.
Because, I mean, I can show you pictures of when I was down in Florida. It was just me, myself, and I, and guys from work that I
Yes.
knew, and I was dialed in on
Yeah.
food and
Yep.
workouts and work. I mean, again, selling sunglasses in Southwest Florida, not the hardest job to do,
Right.
but
There's
I
no
was
parents
killing
there.
it. I was killing it though. I remember my manager down there. She's like, these sunglasses from Oakley. They're like one in a, whatever. Every model was different. And she's like, they're $600. Nobody's gonna sell those. I was like, bet.
I'll
I'm
sell 'em.
selling them before I'm done. Before you leave or what? I'm selling those sunglasses. And the day I text her and said, hey, I sold those, and she's like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go down your physical fitness path. So when did that begin for you at a younger age, and like how is it different compared to how you train today? Because would you have more abs and flows then, whereas
Oh,
like
yeah.
now you're more consistently based? Like
Oh,
when
yeah.
did
Yeah.
when did your journey start with like you like with the weightlifting and those types of things?
Well, I'm
Well,
fascinated by it because you grew up in a fast food industry family.
Yeah.
Like that should just be like it shouldn't even be present.
Yeah. It started when I went to the Army
Okay.
because you had the free time
Mhm.
after, and it wasn't obviously during basic, but when I
No.
came home for basic, between basic and AIT, obviously you don't see it as much, but when you come home and they're like, "You're looking good," I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, well, you know, a lot of push-ups will do that to you." So, but then once I went to San Antonio for AIT, and you're there for 16 weeks.
Yeah.
After the first 4, you get free
Mhm.
roam on nights and weekends.
Mhm.
And Mom and Sean came down for Easter and brought my truck that I had at the time down. So I had free reign to
Nice.
all of San Antonio. Didn't have to worry about,
Nice.
because this was before Uber and all that stuff. I didn't have
Yeah.
to worry about a taxi. I just park it in a certain parking lot and I could go. But after schooling, you go hit the gym and
Mhm.
you do this. And when I came back from that, it was a bigger difference. So when I got out of AIT, I had gone from 155 when I went into basic to 175 when I got
Oh,
out
wow.
of AIT. So there was a huge difference there. And that's when I really, really started to feel it. And then kind of kept with it, but
Yeah.
the diet was never there. Obviously with fast food,
Mhm.
you know, you try to pick the, but yeah, it would definitely yo-yo
Mhm.
a lot.
So that's good. I mean, that makes sense. So now you get back from Florida, you're living that life, partying, you know, not driving. When does the turning point for you where you say, I'm at bottom, I'm at the end? Like, when was the was there a wake up call prior to what we're going to talk about in a minute? Was
Nope.
there was just one wake up call?
One.
Mm.
Okay.
No, I was cruising along. I was working at the Y,
Oh, okay.
having fun. Like it was a good job. It was simple enough, but it didn't challenge me. Like
Right.
it did to a point, but not like this job where I've got somebody that I can ask a question about, and I've learned more with this one. But
Yeah.
I knew enough to get by. But no, like there was no.
It was another job where your
Well,
work
I
ethic.
take that back. There should have been a wake up call.
Mm.
Okay.
So after a relationship, the one before Kelsey ended, it ended. Friend had a poker run. Her dad had passed like 3 years, and they'd done this poker run for him every year.
Mhm.
And got on the party bus. I had to drive to Arcola, met him there, got on the party bus, drove all around, drinking all day, different
Mhm.
stops. Got back to Arcola and somehow made it home. When I
Mhm.
got home, I had just pulled in, remember going to the bathroom, taking my shirt off, getting ready for bed, and I hear the doorbell. Who the heck at 11:30 or whatever it was, maybe later, is at my door? Open the door, there's 3 cops sitting right there asking me like, we've had a report of erratic driving, yada yada yada, and just stay in for the night.
Oh, it was you.
It was me.
Oh.
Yeah, coming down 45, I'm sure I was
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
in a great mood, music
Oh,
cranked
yeah.
and just jamming out.
Both
and-
roads are mine.
Oh yeah,
Both lanes.
both
Those
lanes,
are mine.
just wherever
Both
I
lanes are
wanted.
mine.
Those are mine.
Yeah.
Watch out, buggies.
So that should have been the wake up call.
So
Yeah.
how long prior is that?
That was, shoot, probably 2018, 17, 18.
So did it scare you the next day? Like, did you like, I gotta stop this, or was it just
No.
like, oh, I gotta
No.
wait?
Yeah.
No, but I tortured myself the next day by getting up and running 8 miles on a full stomach of beer.
Nice.
But
Of course, the way you do that.
yeah, but I just like, oh, cool, I got away with it,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
I had gotten away with it a
Yep.
lot.
Time and time
But the
again.
same thing with the why, like what you're saying about challenging you. Like you had the work ethic, so there was that, but there was never anything that challenged you, like that pushed you beyond your comfort zone. You had the work
Nope.
ethic in most of those
Yeah.
jobs, like the work ethic. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like as long as I worked, it was gonna succeed. But it
Yeah.
never pushed you like mentally or psychologically or emotionally,
It did at points because
Yeah.
when it came to resurfacing the gym floor, that pushed me.
right.
But once I figured it out, it's like,
Yeah.
oh well, this
Easy money.
is easy now.
Yeah.
I know how to do this.
Yeah.
After doing it the first time, okay, I got this. Recalking the stuff around the pool, I can do that
Mhm.
and YouTube it, figure it out,
Yeah.
and then that's easy now. That's just expected. So
Yeah. So you're in that, and then the wake up call comes. Like, what's that look like?
August 29th, 2020.
Uh-huh.
So I had been out the chamber outing for golf.
Mm-hmm.
Was really good because I knew I had Austin that night.
Mm.
So I'd have a beer, and then I'd have a couple Gatorades, and then I'd have a beer. Like, it wasn't like...
Yeah.
Plus, you're with community leaders and stuff.
Yeah. Right.
They're all just drinking like crazy, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to make that impression. Like,
Yeah.
I'll have a couple, no big
Right.
deal. Got done, got home, was hanging out with him. But I obviously fell asleep because sun baked. I was exhausted. But he called me and said, "Hey, we're at the shop hanging out. Why don't you come on over?"
Who calls you?
One, my buddy that owned the detail
Okay.
shop.
Gotcha.
I said, "Sounds good.
Mm.
Austin, let's roll. We're gonna swing by." We picked up a Little Caesars, and I grabbed a 6-pack, and to the shop we went. And we're having fun. We're eating,
Mhm.
and a buddy goes, "Hey, it's my birthday. We're doing shots." I'm like, "No," because again,
Mhm.
I know liquor does no good for me. And finally, I'm just like, "All right, fine. It's your
Yeah.
birthday, whatever."
Yeah.
And if it would have been a shot, it wouldn't have been as bad. But it was a red Solo Cup shot.
Oh.
So it was
Jeez.
probably like a
Mhm.
double,
Yeah.
and it was whiskey, which is
Mhm.
never good. Whiskey or tequila, neither one.
Yeah.
Very good at all. Did one. All right, done. And ended up doing like 2 more. And then, I remember Buddy sitting there, like, because his daughter was getting married or something. So we're just, all the emotions are coming out,
Yeah.
and he's bawling, and we're playing in the shop with, which is probably not the greatest idea because it's the concrete floor and the water got on the floor and kids are sliding around.
Because you got Austin and kids there, and
Yeah.
you guys are
Oh, yeah,
drinking.
we're having-
like, it's
we're
just
having a blast.
crazy. Yeah.
It was a great time, and then got ready, and I remember, "Hey, do you want us to drive you?" I'm like, "No, I'm good." Like, I remember saying it, "I'm good," and it was over on Broadway, back behind Villa now, back that way.
Mm.
Come down, turn, and just come down Champaign. Made this trip a million times. Come up over a bridge. There's always a car sitting right here. You got to swerve to the left, and then you can get back over. Didn't swerve far enough. Thankfully, all it was my headlight hit their taillight. But still at 20, 25, 30 miles an hour. I remember looking at Austin when it happened. I was looking at him, turning. Boom. Crap.
Mm.
Airbags came off.
Oh.
Tried to pull away. Made it up to battery specialist, and it was done. Couldn't do it anymore. And
Like the truck wouldn't go?
I think I
Conviction
just...
kind of set in. Yeah.
Just like, I can't.
You gotta
And
call and.
people are in the apartment building here, and there's people coming out. I remember people screaming and yelling, and then the cops were there. Do the breathalyzer. Try to do the alphabet thing, which I couldn't do it backwards, even if I was like right now. I couldn't do it.
I can make it to ZY.
But then they would do like
X.
what comes after N, and you'd sit there and go A B C D E F. Okay, yeah, M N O P. Tried to do the line. Everybody thinks like, oh yeah, I can do that. But I'm gonna tell you, when you are 3 times the legal limit,
Yeah.
there's not a whole lot you can do vertically.
right.
So
That's a good way to put it.
yeah, 3 times the legal limit when I got pulled over.
Jeez.
They
Good for you.
they took Austin over in the battery specialist parking lot
Mm.
and started to cuff me, and I said, "Can I go talk to my son real quick?" And because at this point, like, reality is set
Yeah.
in, and I'm like,
Oh man.
holy crap. The one thing I never wanted to happen is finally happening. So I went over, grabbed him by both sides of his face and was like, I'm so sorry. I will never put you through this again. Ever. And he's just like, I know. Booked me. And you know when everybody talks about like rubbing their wrist after getting handcuffed? Yeah. That crap hurts. There's
Yeah.
no
Tight.
comfortable way for them to get on.
It's not supposed to be.
No.
Yeah.
Threw me in the back of a squad car is not comfortable.
Vince was only used to the fuzzy ones before
Yeah.
that. Zing.
So they booked me, took me to PD, fingerprinted me, mugshotted me. And then the only blessing ever from COVID was they could not hold me in the cell. So the officer took me home. And I remember sitting there in the booking process just, thank you. I'm sorry, guys, that I put you through this tonight. I know this isn't what you want to do. And they're like, hey, thank you for not being an ass.
Right.
Like,
Right.
we do this enough, then we get, and I said, I totally could understand.
Yeah.
But that's not me. I'm not going to do that to you. So, and then talking with the officer on the ride back to the house, and he said, I think, if I remember right, it was something along the lines of like, I hope you've learned your lesson.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
100%.
I did. I got in the house and immediately tried to call my ex-wife because
Did she?
somehow Austin got back to her.
Okay.
Granted, it was only like over the bridge and around the corner.
Yeah.
I don't know if he walked or somebody took him or whatever, but I like blowing up her phone so I could talk to him, and obviously she's not going to let me talk to him. And I said, I'm sorry. I told him I won't do it again, and and then she goes, we'll work through this later. Okay. Immediately call my mom. Calling her, Mom, I messed up. And at this point, I am bawling. I messed up. I got a DUI. Austin was in the car. And she's like, oh my God, what do you want me to do? I'm like, well, there's nothing you can do. You're in Florida,
Yeah.
but I wanted you to know I messed up. Never doing this again. Okay. And I went upstairs and just passed out. Woke up the next morning to a couple of buddies, Sean being one of them. They brought me McHugh's, which surprisingly was really good. But ate that, and one of them had been through it. And Sean's been there through a lot of the times where I should have been caught, where Sean ended up getting like a ticket because he was running the stop sign that I ran before him to keep up with me to make sure I got home.
Yeah.
But they came and talked to me and were like, hey, we're here if you need anything. And then that whole day, I sat in bed, turned on Netflix, and binge watched the whole first season of Cobra Kai.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're right. It
Yeah.
was, yeah.
That's all I did. Like, I never got out of bed except for to go to the bathroom or whatever. I don't think I ate the rest of the day. But it's funny because when the last season just came out, Kelsey's like, why are you still watching this? Like, funny story, because
Yeah.
when I watched the first season,
Yeah.
it's because I was so hungover I couldn't do anything else, and that's what I watched.
Yeah. So
Then-
what happens? Go ahead, Adam.
Well, and like I'm just trying to think, as you're laying there, you're by yourself.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Like what is running through, like, I mean, it's been 5 years now, but what is like going through your mind in that moment to decide like you really truly are done? Because obviously you've spent, you'll tell us how many days now, but like what was, because that's not an easy situation. People say it all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like what truly made you decide I am done with this?
The fact that my son was involved in it. Had it been just me, I probably could have talked myself into, it'll be all right. I'll just, because I'd done it before when one of the relationships ended because of my drinking.
Right.
I stopped for like 8 months, and then was like, okay, I got this under control. Talked myself into it.
So where does the drinking stops that day?
Yep.
So then where does the change in the way that you carried yourself and the way that you strive for, like, where you are today? That's 2020. COVID's hard for everybody to get motivated, majority. Now we come out of, like, what is the catalyst for now? I'm not just going to be a better dad, and I'm not going to do this thing where I get drunk. Like, drinking is no longer a part of my life. When did it then shift to, I want to be the best Vince that I can be?
So through COVID was very rough because I'm not drinking, and there's
You're
a lot
all
of
alone.
I am, because the size of my house, it was me, and my dog.
Mm-hmm.
Every night except for on Wednesdays and every other weekend when Austin would come over. And I made the best of those weekends, but when he'd leave, it was me. So I spent a lot of time just in my own head, and it was not a fun place to be.
Is this 2020?
Yeah.
Dude, it's crazy. I wish I would have known you, because Ramey still was an essential worker, and I was stuck at home by myself all
I was
day.
still going to work. Now, don't get me
Oh,
wrong.
that's
I was,
good.
I was
Okay.
getting up every day. It was me and Blake at the Y
Mhm.
every day, and that place got cleaned and painted from top to bottom. 'Cause
Right.
That's all I could do. But that was probably a good thing because I could put music in and I
Mhm.
could just me. And I didn't have to deal with other people.
Yeah.
That's probably, I mean, you think about that because that can really have a toll and effect on people. If we would have been on, and people seeing you every day was as packed as a Y would get, and they found out about what happened with
Mhm.
like you would have got constantly reminded all the
Oh, yeah.
time of what you did.
Yep.
And that can do for a lot of different things for people, obviously from a mental standpoint. So like the fact that you were basically kind of just having your little
I guess,
therapy.
no, I got to take that back because we were back there. We were back in.
Were we? Because I know you said August, so I didn't know if
We were back in limited capacity because I remember the next day, Wendy Baker was my boss,
Okay.
and she used to she would always greet, hey, morning,
Mhm.
yada yada, very
Mhm.
chipper. That Monday morning, nothing. I wouldn't get it. Nothing all day. And then so Tuesday, I got up to Gus to go be like, hey, so this is what happened. And she goes, I know, because she worked at CCOM. So she heard it. And then when she found out that Austin was in the car, and at that point, we're in this meeting, her and I just talking, and we're both bawling. Because she was mad at me because I put Austin in danger, and then I'm mad at me because I put Austin in danger. But then, so that was in August. That following, the following, not May, it'd been like the end of April.
Yep.
Buddy had moved his shop over here on DeWitt. And I'd get off work and I'd go, hey, I need an extra hand. Cool, I'll come help. And I walked in, and she was blonde at the time, with her, I can still picture the yoga pants and everything else that she had on.
Ow,
and,
ow.
and she's working, and she's loud, and she was having a blast. And she got done, and after, like, when they would finish, all the workers would leave, and then Adam and I would hang out and just shoot the shit a little bit and talk and hang out, and no big deal. Just hang, it was like a hangout place as well. And suddenly he's getting a message from her.
Oh.
Who, what's his name? What, is he single? Yada, 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 yada. And it was Kelsey. So he had told her, well, just, here's his number, call him. She's like, no, have him call me. So I got her number, and I text her that night, like, hey, how's it going? And we went on our first date the Saturday night before Mother's Day that year. We went to Lefty's in Charleston because a friend of mine was playing in his band.
Okay.
So we went there and we watched that for a couple hours. And I remember I made her dinner on the blacktop. Made like fried potatoes and like breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
I remember cutting the tip of my finger off, slicing potatoes. So here I am bleeding on the first date and all this stuff. And
So
that was the
mo-
beginning.
That was the beginning of that.
As soon as I saw her, I knew something was different.
Right.
So when I then she and I started talking more and more and more, and the relationship really started to build. So that was like the first plateau. And then when we started 75 Hard that December, it like flipped a switch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It really did. Like, because again, I've said it before. I'd heard about it when I was working at the Y. Why am I going to go work outside if I don't have to, if it's raining and all this crap? Why do I drink enough water. I don't think I need to drink a gallon every day.
That's crazy.
But from that point on, everything has been different.
Well, and then at some point, like, that was nearly over 2 years ago now. So now you've got, like, it's going to end up being longer of you being this way
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
than it will you being the other.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing. And so how many days?
So when we were, the best thing about the Arnold this year for me was on that Saturday was 4.5 years of
Wow.
sobriety.
That's cool.
But I always show me your last 1,000 days.
Yeah, show
You
me
know,
your
like,
last
in
4.5
your-
years.
how many-
Well, show me your last 1,000 days. We're almost at the end of this year. You'll be right at 1,000 days of like.
It's more than that.
No, I mean of the gym. Like,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah.
Because in December you'll have been at the gym for 1,000 days
Yeah, because it was October.
of 21.
22.
It was
22. October of 22.
Yes, because it was when I started this job. Obviously, I left the Y,
Yeah.
so that membership left, and I was like, well, I know where I'm going, and yeah, it was 1,683 days ago.
Wow, that's awesome. man.
Breaks it down to the minutes and seconds and everything else.
That's
So
awesome. 55 months.
if
Yep.
you're struggling with something and you don't know how to work through it or get through it, reach out to us. We'll get you in
Mhm.
contact with Vince,
Yeah.
or because I think he's been through it, so he's someone that could talk to that. But we got Operation Dad because Adam's got his daughter's soccer game at 5,
Yeah.
and I gotta go get my kids, and Vince gotta go do Vince things.
Peace.